day after day. The guilt and shame never go away. At least the alcohol and drugs numb the pain for a while. Why do I still care? If I only had hope.
Hello, my name's Glenn McMillan. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I suffer from substance use disorder, and I just wanted to thank you all for taking a moment to listen to my story. My story begins back in the summer of 2001. I was going through some personal things at the time, some loss. My grandfather passed away in college, but the bottom line is I was in a motorcycle accident. I was hit by a drunk driver on my motorcycle, and I was placed on pain medications. I quickly fell down the rabbit hole. I was a full-blown addict by the Christmas of that year, stealing from my family and robbing from our family business. Within a few short years after that, I was a 3-time felon in multiple states. In 2005, I was incarcerated for 2 years for fleeing and eluding and drug trafficking and possession. In 2011, I nearly lost my left arm from injecting heroin. Throughout it, there was a lot of despair that I felt. I became complacent in that lifestyle, thinking that that was all it was ever going to be. In 2017, that all changed. I died 3 times from fentanyl overdose in the summer of 2017. The first time I was found in my car in a church parking lot of all places in East Liverpool. I remember that night seeing my parents in the back of the hospital room as I seized as the Narcan overrode the fentanyl, and I couldn't communicate with them, and they were just in terror holding one another. But luckily for me, there was an officer that had spoke to my parents about this gentleman that had a faith-based recovery program at the time, and he had a lot of success with it. Sadly, I would lose my life 2 more times before I called him, the final time being in August of that summer. I was in the ICU for 5 days. There was another gentleman that was in a similar situation to mine across from me on life support. I clearly remember the nurses calling his family and begging them to come in, that they could keep him on if they did, and they all chose not to. And later that evening, they had to take the gentleman off life support. And I just remember seeing myself very clearly being in that same spot. So very quickly, when my parents picked me up from the ICU in the hospital, I was quick to call that gentleman with the faith-based program. And I'll tell you, helplessness quickly became hope. He gave me hope, and my unbelief turned into belief. And that switch that had flipped with the opiates had switched back. And I had quickly become baptized. I'd become a full-fledged born-again Christian again. I got heavily involved with our church small groups. I started working with Celebrate Recovery. Then the blessings continued. I didn't know what God's plan was, but I knew it existed, and I knew He's consistent, and I put hope in that. But in closing, I relate very, very closely to Paul in 2 Corinthians, when Paul's pleading to the Lord to remove the thorn from his side, and God's answer is, "My grace is sufficient enough for your strengths or in your weaknesses. My power is made perfect in your weakness." And I just hope to carry that message on. So thank you.